What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you for joining me today, Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. Tons of stuff to cover today. Joe Rogan pressed on his show if he's a Christian, very reminiscent of Jordan Peterson being pressed on if he was believed in Jesus and was a Christian. We got Wes Huff on some big YouTube channel arguing for why Jesus is true. We got Jake Shields and Joel Webbin coping about Jesus being Jewish, and a bunch of other stuff. Hopefully we'll get to all of it. This show's only made possible thanks to you guys and your support. Powerchat.live/no more news. Pinned to the live chat on Rumble and Odysee and in the description below. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Every dollar helps. But first, before we get into the Christian question clips, here's some of the latest with Trump on the Iran war front. Here he is explaining who persuaded him to bomb Iran. Take a wild guess. Who was?
The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me. Marco, so involved.
Jared telling him he needed to bomb Iran? Who could have imagined?
That I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And the situation was very quickly.
We're never getting any evidence of that. Yeah, they had a suicide wish. They were going to attack us and then get destroyed. Totally, because the feels, right? Hold on, I forgot. I got to bookmark all of these. Bookmark all tabs. I'll say Rogan Christian. Okay. Just the feels, guys. His feels.
They've lost their Navy, they've lost their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all. They have no radar. Their leaders are gone.
But hey, all the e-crusaders and the clickbaiters on Twitter are saying that Israel's getting pummeled. According to Scott Ritter and Sneeko and the Russia shills, Tel Aviv looks like Gaza now. So it's a burning hole in the ground, a pile of burning rubble. Iran completely destroyed them, according to Sneeko on the internet. Yeah, we're totally going to lose, according to Scott Ritter and Professor Zhang.
They have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all. They have no radar. Their leaders are gone. And we could do a lot worse to one another. We're leaving certain things that if we take them out, or we could take them out by this afternoon, in fact, within an hour, they literally would never be able to build that country back. They've lost their Navy.
The president has said that he...
Asking for evidence that Iran was going to attack? She says Trump felt that way. I'm liking the Easter look. The pink Easter look.
The president said yesterday for the first time that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days. And then he bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last briefing. This was a feeling the president had based on facts provided to him by his top negotiators who had been engaged with the Iranian regime in a good faith.
Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff told him, hey, you better attack. They're going to attack you, Donald.
The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to...
Johan!
I finally got around to watching your late night stream from Monday.
Tech Monkey stream?
Luckily for you, there's a few thousand miles separating you from him.
Yeah, well, there's a means of transportation. We're not saying anything bad about Aaron. I believe he's chosen, actually, so we're not going to talk any trash. We're going to be nice.
continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic missile arsenal, they were rapidly and aggressively increasing that by the month to a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated, and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow the Iranian regime to threaten or to attack the United States of America any longer.
That's what they meant by preemptive attack. Yeah, autonomous. Trump sensed a disturbance in the force, so he had to attack first. His spidey sense said Iran was about to sign their death wish. Here he is being pressed some more about the Iranian school that was targeted with a missile strike.
Chief, to use
For what?
for the strike on the school in Iran. A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
I don't know anything about that. I plead the fifth, he says. Here's the video of it. The Tomahawk missile hitting the school.
Tonight, this new video geolocated and verified by NBC News.
This is already worse optics than like anything in the Iraq war, they're saying.
Tonight, this new video geolocated and verified by NBC News shows what experts say is a U.S. Tomahawk missile over the skies of Manab, Iran, adding evidence, the experts say, that an American missile likely hit the Shajre Taibeh.
It was Iran. We didn't do that.
U.S.-Israeli operations on February 28th. Iranian officials say the airstrikes, which also hit a neighboring Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps compound, once home to a military base, killed more than 170 people, mostly children.
The Tomahawk, which is one of the most
170 children
around, is used.
Yo, Cabbage Bandit, what's up?
$5 on Rumble. Yesterday's guest was awesome. Hope you have him again.
Yeah. Jeff K from Western Alliance was a good guess. He knew a lot. Good time.
Sold and used by other countries. That's being investigated right now.
Weapons expert Jeffrey Lewis says
So Israel did
this
it?
new video is clear.
Oh, I think the munition that is visible in that video is clearly a Tomahawk. It's long, cylindrical, it has a set of wings, and really no other country in this conflict has a munition that looks like that.
NBC News spoke with 4 other weapons experts.
Just makes us look so bad.
Was published on Iranian state media shows a U.S. Tomahawk.
Great going. Yeah, right, Amalek. They're saying that they decided they use Claude AI, right, to select all of the targets.
Terry has publicly said Tomahawks were launched in the first hours of the war, even releasing this video. Over the weekend, a reporter asked President Trump if the U.S. was responsible.
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Today, NBC News spoke on the phone with a father who said his 8-year-old daughter Zahra was killed in the strikes. There is no crime greater than this, he said, that so many children, boys and girls, innocent little ones, were torn apart. Molly Hunter, NBC News.
Not good. Rabbi says the U.S.-Israeli strike was a mitzvah. Following the Talmud passage, if someone comes to kill you, rise up and kill them first. We've only been screaming about that Talmudic, Kabbalistic motto for years, and they're still using it to justify now bombing school children.
When we read...
Look at this guy, dude.
Okay, let me just give a little perspective. I think that what
a Tomahawk would have a bigger explosion than that? The explosion didn't look very big, to be honest.
Government of Israel and the government of the United States did by making this preemptive strike is for sure a mitzvah. It was a mitzvah for Habola Hargecha, Hashkem Lahargo. Somebody who has intention of killing you, you don't wait till he shoots the first shot, but you take a preemptive strike and get up early in the morning and kill him first.
Dude, they've been saying Iran wants to create a nuke and bomb Israel for 30, 40 years, and they hadn't ever done it. But this time they were really about to. It's just stupid.
Exactly what's happening here. And therefore, because...
Thank you, Railroad Hobo. It's a lot of money for a railroad hobo.
A mitzvah war.
Mitzvah war.
The forces of Israel and the forces of the United States will be successful. The miracles of Purim recur, and therefore it's not a coincidence that this war started on Shabbos Parshas Zachar, when we read the mitzvah to destroy Amalek, and that day the Amalek of our generation, one of them, Khamenei, was assassinated together with 40 of the heads of the Rishoyim of this world. And that was not a coincidence, but the power of that Shabbos Parshas Zachar enabled that
Did
to
you
be
see
a
Jimmy
successful...
Dore on Alex Jones and Jang on Jimmy Dore yesterday? Sent $5.
I saw that they were on there, but I didn't watch or see any clips yet. Do I need to watch it?
Operation. Purim was the preparation for the building of the second Beis Hamikdash. And therefore, it's very possible that if we strengthen ourselves in Torah and strengthen ourselves in Tefillah, and we see the downfall of the evil in this world, right, then in Yirtzeh Hashem we'll see that this should also be a preface to the ultimate Geula, the building of the third Beis Hamikdash, with the coming of Mashiach very, very soon.
So, very, very soon. So, Tucker says Chabad and religious Jews are doing Purim sacrifices. This is Gog and Magog war. They want to rebuild the temple, destroy the Dome of the Rock, anoint their Messiah. And they go, you're an anti-Semite. And then now we have a rabbi just saying all of those things. Yeah, the downfall of the evil in the world. Anybody that stands in their way of global domination is evil Amalek and will be destroyed. Lindsey Graham, Trump's top cheerleader, says he's with Israel till his dying day.
For all the anti-Semitites, to all the isolation.
Seminites?
I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus. All the anti-Semitites, to all the
Seminites.
To our friends in Spain, to our allies, step up. Get our air bases out of Spain. They're not reliable. Move all those airplanes to a country that would let us use them when we're threatened by a regime like Iran. To our friends in Spain, man, you have lost your way. I don't want to do business with you anymore. I want our air bases out of Spain into a country that will let us use them. To our Arab friends, I've tried to help you construct a new Mideast. You need to up your game here. I can't go to South Carolina and say we're fighting and you won't publicly fight. What you're doing behind the scenes, that has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to end. I go back to South Carolina. I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast. What I want you to do in the Mideast.
What? He's asking his constituents to send their sons and daughters over for what? More Purim sacrifices? Send your sons and daughters over to the Middle East to go die in the holy war. He calls it a holy war for Israel.
That has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to end. I go back to South Carolina. I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast. What I want you to do in the Mideast, to our friends in Saudi Arabia and other places, step forward and say, this is my fight too. I join America. I'm publicly involved in bringing this regime down. If you
this
don't,
is
you're
my
making
fight.
A great mistake, and you're going to cut off the ability to have a better relationship with the United States. I say this as a friend. Up to our allies.
Wow. I hope everybody tells him to go fuck himself. Go die for a holy war for Israel? Forget about it. That's the only answer he should be getting. There'll be Christians there in South Carolina like, yep, they're God's chosen people. Send me away. I'm ready. Sign me up. I'll die for the chosen people.
Long-time supporter showing
Thank you, Anonymous.
I remember when you just covered the news only. I still can remember what I was doing when you opened my eyes. Congrats on the book. I'm going to read it soon. Thank you, Glaciak.
Thank you. I don't know about covering the news only, though. I've always been focused on Zionism, Israel. But I've also always covered the news. Religion and politics. That's my focus, religion and politics. God bless. He says we should move all our stuff to Israel.
Just like the
right thing. God bless you for trying. God bless you for destroying this regime.
And Spain, Macron, and Great Britain.
God bless Israel. God bless Tech Monkey. God bless Bibi Netanyahu. God bless Jesus. God bless God.
Zorn Dare Edom _ sent $5.
God bless the Bible.
Coverage on the fallout of this political sheet show that is this Iran war. Good guest yesterday, helps me understand your Russia agent paranoia better. Still don't know how you can't see Fuentes is a complete fake. Cheers.
He might be a fake. I don't know about a complete fake. He says some stuff that's true that I know is not fake.
They either wake up.
I'm glad you got a better understanding of the Russia perspective. That's good.
This is their tipping point moment too. Just like the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, you decide now. UAE, decide now. Qatar, decide now. Because I'm a little sick and tired of the constant threading of needles. They want.
Yeah, the Russia shills are a big part why Trump is in office. Exactly.
The Iranians stop as much as the Israelis did.
Absolutely.
Truth be told.
God bless Israel.
All right.
We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you.
Senator Graham, thank you. All right,
we should move all our stuff to Israel to go die in a holy war. Dude, how is this guy in politics? Actually, it makes perfect sense why he's in politics. Why did the USA go to war? Senator, Israel made us do it.
What is the reason, if the nuclear program isn't the reason, as poor Ted Cruz, I never thought I'd put those three words together, is over there talking about nukes? And we know that the intelligence did not suggest that an attack was imminent from Iran. What is left? Why are we at war with Iran?
Great question. Yeah, great question. I mean, the simplest explanation, might be the one that they gave 24 hours in, that they've kind of tried to backtrack since then, which is that Israel made us do it. Bibi decided on this timeline. Netanyahu decided he wanted to attack, and he convinced Trump to join him by scaring Trump into believing that U.S. assets in the region would be at risk, and so Trump was better off just joining Netanyahu. I hope that isn't the full explanation, but you're right.
It is.
Now hearing that the nuclear program is not part of their targeting campaign, as we're now more confident that even harder line leadership is taking hold, as the Strait of Hormuz is still being shut down, even as we get their Navy, what's left as the explanation? It might just be that Israel forced our hand. And how weak does that make the United States look? How weak are we if our allies can force us into wars of choice that are bad for U.S. national security interests?
Anti-Semitic. APEC, get on him quick. Fund his opposition. Get him out. Primary, out. How dare he acknowledge reality? We played the clip of Blinken the other day saying that Netanyahu tried the same trick on Obama, saying they're going to bomb Iran and they're going to bomb you back, so you better bomb them first with us. Obama didn't do it. Trump did. Obama actually had a agreement with Iran. Trump was backed by the Zionists from day one to rip that up and to ultimately bomb them. I like that our senators are now saying, Israel made us do it. He'll be primaried. He'll be gone. Just an anti-Semitic conspiracy that to notice that Israel's getting us in another war. How dare you trust the evidence of your eyes, right? Oh, dude, it's so bad. It's such a shit show. We're the ultimate target, too. It's not just about taking out Iran. It's about the downfall of Edom. Sucking us into this is just the beginning of the end of the downfall of Edom, which is their ultimate goal. Be nice if Tucker talked about that. He wants to talk about Chabad Lubavitch and isn't going to mention the Edom prophecies. There's only hours and hours of rabbis online talking about it explicitly. I can't believe Kushner and Witkoff didn't negotiate peace. I know. Before we get to Joe Rogan getting pressed by this Schellenberger guy on Jesus, they talk about UFOs and fallen angels and the Bible and Book of Enoch like they're all doing. Let's see some of those.
Edit out like UFOs that you Elon. You think Elon knows more than he's letting on about UAPs?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Well, because he works with NASA. If he knows he knows something. Also, some people have told me that he knows some things.
But don't you ask him privately?
He don't tell me shit.
Okay.
I got a big mouth.
I asked somebody that was high up in his operation.
Yeah.
We were on the record, but I won't reveal who they are, what they said.
What'd they say?
And they go, I said, you guys must be. I was like, at SpaceX, you guys must just like have to. Don't you have to edit out like UFOs that you get? You know. Before? And the person just looked at me and they just said, Elon's really close with the federal government. Elon. You think?
Yeah, SpaceX is editing out the UFOs. Trust me, bro. Jack Stone, again, we'll make another prediction. If Trump ends this war on Passover Eve, like the rabbis have been saying, you're going to flip out. It'll be Twilight Zone. Just like I said 4 days before, if they attack on this pre-Purim Sabbath holiday, it's going to be Twilight Zone. And of course it happened. Of course.
Tucker's thoughts on this whole UFO UAP thing?
They're demons. It's the demons that attacked me in my bed. We all got to believe in Jesus. Me, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, everybody.
Tucker.
The Bible's real. Demons are real. And we got to believe in Jesus.
Tucker's thoughts on this whole UFO UAP thing? He thinks they're like angels and demons from the Bible. And he thinks that they've always been here.
Dude, I saw Sam Tripoli say that on Danny Jones, bro. I believe that too. They're not aliens, man. They're demons. Interdimensional, shape-shifting, fallen angel, Nephilim demons. So we got to believe in Jesus because Jesus is perfect. Help me, Jesus. Save us from the demons.
Help me, Jesus. Help me, Jewish God.
Help me, Jewish God. Save me from the demons.
And, I'm sure you're aware of like the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, which was one of the original biblical texts that wasn't included in the canon, but just because of a few rabbis decided it didn't jive with the Torah. And they found the Book of Enoch along with the Book of Isaiah.
Dude, are hold on, rabbis' names? Rabbis are covering up the fallen angels and the Nephilim? Tell me more, Joe.
As a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And when you...
They probably left it out because they knew it was just too wild and retarded.
Text that was contemporary to books that did make it into the Old Testament. And that they talk about the Watchers who come from above and mate with humans.
Enoch isn't in a lot of Christian canons either, though.
And create this race of giant...
Yeah, the rabbis shut it down because it was too sci-fi and outrageous, probably, if anything.
Giants called the Nephilim who destroy everything and consume everything. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this? And just stop and imagine if those rabbis hadn't...
It's science fiction.
If that hadn't been excluded. Like, Wesley Huff is great talking about this stuff. He's a real historian when it comes to...
Real historian. He's a real Christian apologist. I've never seen anybody astroturfed. Professor Zhang is giving him a run for the money, but Wes Huff, the Christian apologist that Joe Rogan is just obsessed with, he's a real scholar. He's a real historian. He's a Christian apologist idiot.
Really understanding the history of these biblical texts, and he's absolutely fascinated by it. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy that they just decided to not put that in the Bible. Imagine if they did. And part of when you're going to church and they're going over the Old Testament, like, okay, this week we're going to go over the Book of Enoch, and we're going to figure out who the Watchers are. Like, what is that? Like, what is that story? The crazy thing,
a Jewish myth, Jewish fan fiction on Genesis. That's what it is, Joe. Ancient people making up stories like all cultures did. That's what it is.
That Wes Huff told me was that...
Dude, Candace Owens says that Book of Enoch is the real history that they should teach kids in school. are true history.
The book of Isaiah that they found in the Dead Sea Scroll predates the oldest version of the book of Isaiah by more than 1,000 years.
He's so impressed by this. This is his go-to talking point. He repeats it over and over again. They kept the story pretty much the same for 1,000 years. So what? Scribes repeating the story over and over again? The story says about the same. He's not even right about this either. He goes, it's verbatim, exactly. Every letter is the same. That's not even true. It's for the most part the same.
When they found it, they found out that there was a book of Isaiah that is
Story old equals true if you're a retard. Right. Old means true.
Found it. They found out that there was a book of Isaiah that is 1,000 years older than the one they thought was the oldest one, and it is verbatim. It's verbatim from the one that's 1,000 years later.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Not really.
It's also in the same fucking...
I'm not impressed at all by that. Okay, a fake story has stayed mostly the same for a long time. Big whoop.
Caves as the book of Enoch. It's all together there in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Amazing. I mean, we've had this. We've been fed this story that sort of all of these religions and myths from the past are all just false.
Right.
They're all just hallucinations.
Right.
They're all just lies.
I don't believe that.
It's just really, it's really arrogant, actually. Like it's like
no, dude, you're just like arrogant if you don't believe every ancient story that people told.
Now, like we've been around for he was around for like millions.
You don't believe in ancient magical stories, dude? You're just so arrogant.
Of years, but the last 150 years is like we really figured it all out, and we figured
Right.
out that all human knowledge before, whatever some recent time period is nonsense. Yeah, I think that's quite arrogant.
It's very arrogant, but I'm a believer that history is far older than we think it is. And I think the more time goes on, the more that gets revealed. So when you're talking about something that's 4,000 or 5,000 years old, I think really you're...
Dude, more like 2,300 years old, 2,500 years old at most, 4,000 years old. Give me a break.
You're talking about a retelling of a far older story. And I think it's very difficult when you're dealing with people that don't have an understanding.
Joe, you ever read the Bible on weed, man?
The written language is fairly new. It's an oral tradition for generations before it's ever written down. So my question with all of this is always like, what were they trying to talk about? What were they trying to say? What was the original experience that someone documented in story? And then that story was relayed over and over and over again, generation after generation, until it's eventually written down. And then
Yo, Joe.
And take it literally. And then...
You ever read the Book of Enoch on weed, man? It's crazy, bro. You don't believe the ancient Jews? You're so arrogant. You don't believe in magical angels coming down and breeding with women and secretly controlling the world and eating babies, and we got to believe in Jesus? You're arrogant.
Also, translating it from Aramaic, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient Hebrew, all these different languages to Latin and Greek and eventually English. But what's the original story? Like, what are they trying to document? What is this important knowledge that they want to share? And how screwed up would that get? Oh,
dude, maybe every other pagan religion is true too, dude. Dude, what if everything that's ever been written in a book is actually true, and you're just arrogant if you don't believe magical, supernatural stuff, right?
I read about it in a book.
Nobody ever writes something down that isn't real.
Over the generations and generations of talking about it, but what ultimate truth is in there? Like, I'm absolutely fascinated by the story of Jesus Christ, because if you wanted to come up with a way that people would live that would absolutely be far more beneficial than just going on natural instincts and tribal behavior, and you would follow Jesus's teachings. Like, I can't find a flaw in the way he tells you to live life.
Have you looked? There's other moral frameworks. There's other law codes. There's other philosophies. Dude, Jesus, he said this with Andrew Wilson too. Jesus is just perfect, dude. His teachings are so perfect. Love the Jewish Messiah more than your own family. Turn the other cheek when somebody hits you. Pray for your enemies. The whole world bowing down to the Jewish king, and if you don't, you're destroyed. Like, it's perfect. Nothing better than Jesus, dude. I mean, all my Christian friends tell me Jesus is like the best.
There's a lot of religions that involve, torturing non-believers and raping infidels and being able to do terrible things to the people that don't believe your religion.
Oh, Christians never did that.
There's none of that in Christianity. It's all.
Oh, they never did that. The Christians never did that. It's not in there, but they did it anyway. Dude, this guy's such an idiot. As the year goes on, I realize more and more how dumb Joe Rogan is.
Your religion. There's none of that in Christianity. It's all forgiveness. It's all treating your brother and your neighbor as if they're you. Like, it's a beautiful way to live life.
Are you Christian?
Well, I go to church, and I have been for quite a while.
Okay, so
I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years.
But that's not really an answer to the question.
Well, because I don't know. I think
this guy's been going to church for 4 years and doesn't know if he's a Christian. Here's our Jordan Peterson moment where he's not really a believer, but he loves to pander to the Christians. He loves to grift off the Christians. He's happy to condition all the Christians to be Christian. Goes to church for 4 years, says he loves Jesus, but won't say he's a Christian. Come on.
Like, it's a beautiful way to live life.
Are you Christian?
Well, I go to church, and I have been for quite a while.
Okay, so
I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years.
But that's not really an answer to the question.
Well, because I don't know. I think it's very interesting, and I
faith, bro.
That if you follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, you will live a better life.
What do you mean by what do you mean Christian? What do you mean by you? What do you mean by are? Are you a Christian? What do you mean by that? Just follow the teachings, man. He's just like a teacher. He's the cheat code.
I really do believe that. And one of the things I talk about is like, the people that I go to church with are the most fucking polite people I've ever met in my life.
This is what he does
so
every day.
Kind and
the most anecdotal shit. Oh, you're only a big famous celebrity. You go to church and all the Christians are nice to you? Ugh. I'm so surprised. He's not Christian, he's spiritual. He's not Christian, he's a follower of Jesus, right? We've heard these copes before.
So nice, and everybody lets you out of the parking lot. Everybody's like, you go. It's like the one, like, it works. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he said the same thing. People just like let other people go first in the parking lot, dude. It's not like the rock concerts.
If people are trying to find an idea, does that mean I believe people came back from the dead? Does that mean I believe Moses parted the Red Sea? Not really. No.
Good.
It seems like that's most likely a story where people are telling it generation after generation after generation, but there's probably something happening. There's probably some truth to it. Then when you take into account some of the stories from the Old.
Yeah, just like there's some truth to Dungeons and Dragons and Harry Potter. Lord of the Rings, there's some truth to it. Merkava time, right? So you don't believe Jesus was born a virgin and died for your sins and rose from the dead, right? Well, then you're not a Christian. Why are you even going to church?
But there's probably something happening. There's probably some truth to it. Then,
yeah, some Jews made up a story, fake fulfilling prophecy, Joe, to theologically conquer the world and have all the Goyim bow down to the King of the Jews. That's the truth behind Christianity.
You take into account some of the stories from the Old Testament, like the book of Ezekiel, which I'm absolutely fascinated by.
Oh, here we go.
Ezekiel and his account of the wheel within a wheel.
Dude, Ezekiel's Merkava mysticism, bro. Dude, you ever read the book of Enoch and Ezekiel on weed, man? Dude, I lay down. Hold on, I need the music again. I lay down in my isolation chamber on a bunch of mushrooms, and edible weed brownies, and I think about Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and the shape-shifting interdimensional elves, clockwork elves, and I'm just like the Bible, dude, zoom right up into the firmament. My best friend Eddie Bravo tells me about flat Earth and Jesus. How much? Yeah, Amalek, weren't we talking about how all of this is all of this demon UFO stuff is just getting everybody on the plantation of Merkava mysticism? In fact, the Angel Orbs guy that I covered the other day, I found one of their other accounts, and it's called Merkava Skywatch or something like that. Jesus was an alien on mushrooms hanging out with Bigfoot. Stoned ape theory? Maybe Jesus was just like an alien avatar magician, bro.
And the fire flashing forth continually, and in the midst of the fire, as it were gleaming metal. Like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that? Like, what are these stories? And in the
mystical Kabbalah Judaism,
midst of this gleaming metal, there's the likeness of 4 living creatures. Like, okay, they darted to and fro like the appearance of a flash of lightning. Okay, what is that? Like, what were they
gobbledygook
saying?
It's nonsense.
The original experience that people documented that was so important.
And it might have been a lot more similar to these UFO experiences.
That's the
that we've been
point.
seeing.
That's the point, dude. This is such a psyop, dude. This is such a psyop. Dude, how do you like your Jesus, Joe? Dude, my Jesus looks like Russell Brand. He smokes lots of weed. He trips balls and goes into heaven in the firmament. Dude, my Jesus, he's just like really nice and courteous leaving the parking lot at church. Dude, my Jesus just like loves everybody and wants free healthcare and no war and peace on earth.
I like to picture Jesus in a tuxedo T-shirt because it says like, I want to be formal, but I'm here to party too.
Dude, I picture
I like to
Jesus.
party, so I like my Jesus to party.
Joe pictures his Jesus sitting ringside, hammered, just fist pump in the air, sitting ringside at UFC, watching the heavyweight showdown. Just praying to God that his favorite fighter wins. Amalek says, I like my Jesus to have a tiny little gray alien with big eyes. Tuxedo alien Jesus. Bro. Hey, dude, the super serious, totally real Exorcist on Sean Ryan, former CIA, Sean Ryan is going to tell us all about the demons, bro. They got him cataloged. We're going to show you Joe Webbin clips later, too. He thinks all the pagan gods are real, and they're secretly fallen angel demons. But don't worry, Jesus locked them in the dungeon. He's ruling them. He's ruling all those Gentile demon gods.
If you listen to the people who have been alienly abducted.
Yeah, all the Jesus shilling on all the biggest podcasts, all the UFO bullshit pushed by the government, all the Jesus being promoted by Ben Shapiro and Shabbos Kestenbaum and Donald Trump and everybody, that's not the psyop. No. The people saying it's all fake and Jewish, they're the psyop. Yeah. Us and our 300 people in the live chat, we're the psyop. Not Joe Rogan, not Alex Jones and Tucker and Candace and Trump. They're real. They're the real deal, bro. Red-pilled, based in red-pilled for Yeshua, bro.
It's always like the aliens are always telling them, oh, yeah, we're here to save humanity. Well, that's Jesus Christ's role, not aliens. We're here because human beings can't save themselves, and we're here.
Jesus saves humanity, not the aliens, durr. Hey, Joe is so impressed with Isaiah. Maybe we should show him a few quotes from Isaiah. I have a chapter, a section in my book, Joe. If you ever want to talk to somebody that's not a kooky Christian apologist, I have a chapter in my book of all of the most important verses in Isaiah that were used, influenced the Jesus myth. It's all about conquering the Goyim. Every time about conquering the Goyim. But Joe Rogan's so impressed because they kept their conquering the Goyim's story about the same for 1,000 years. I'm convinced.
we're here to basically usher in a new era. Yeah, that's because people, the elites want to get away from or at least the demons want to get away from Christianity as the ruling ethos that affects, the world cultures, etc. So the
Alabama Yeoman sent $5 on Rumble. Is the dungeon located in the Phantom Zone?
Yeah, dude, just like the bad guys, Zod from Superman 2, they got put in the Phantom Zone. They're down chained for 1,000 years in hell, all of our pagan gods. Totally real, totally serious, dude. This is how we win, bro.
very same things that the demons actually want is the same type of stuff that you hear the aliens actually talking about and going into. So
these are our podcasts, the podcast class intellectual dork web.
For me, it just looks like a diabolic diversionary tactic, not necessarily in the sense that the people that are doing this diversionary tactic, the human beings doing this, are thinking that they're thinking in terms of diabolic necessarily in doing this. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean that the demons can't be using them precisely to that end, because the demons do not want people to become focused on the moral degeneracy, because then they'll start demanding change, and the demons don't want the change. They want this degeneracy because it empowers them.
Nothing the demons fear more than the name of Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua, Yahweh saves. Dude, the demons must be so frustrated that every time they try to haunt somebody, they end up becoming Christian and shilling Jesus, dude. Does that ever backfire? Ultra-Zionist Jack Hibbs says demons are different than fallen angels, and they have an interesting story. Dude, are we just going to have our head in the clouds? All of our discourse is going to be about angels and demons and prophecies and covenants. We are not a serious people if this is the discourse. They're making the discourse all on the Judeo plantation and all retarded and all controlled dialectics.
My opinion. I believe.
Truth Seeker, thank you.
1 year ago I was
in
Leeds Church, embracing a metaphorical Jesus. Then
Where is Marty Leeds?
Marty kicked me out of the church.
Uh-oh.
Now I find myself listening to your every show.
For the better.
The Jesus Deception.
Yes. Marty Leeds. I had not heard of that guy for a long time. Is he still doing stuff? He has a church? A church of flat earth and Aryan Jesus or something? Wow, where the hell did I block him or something? Do you guys know Marty Leeds? I did shows with him back in the day, debates or something maybe with him also. That is a name I have not heard for a while. I'm going to have to look him up.
Demons don't like water. Why? Nobody knows, unless you entertain the book of Genesis chapter 6, that when the sons of God saw that...
Dude, the demons are just like little guys from Gremlins. They hate water. A water touches a demon, and they turn into an even worse demon. Dude, demons don't like water, bro, because the Bible says so. I thought I heard that the interdimensional demons are living below the ocean and below the ground. He's beefing with Jay Dyer and Jim Bob. Oh, that's...
Unless
fitting.
You entertain the book of Genesis chapter 6, that when the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, they seized upon them and took them to be their wives. The sons of God is a reference in the Old Testament to angels. I believe it's fallen angels came upon daughters of mankind, women, in Genesis 6, and it says there that the women became pregnant and they had babies, and the babies grew up to be giants, and they were known as the men of renown. The fallen ones, Nephilim. You see, Jack, is this crazy? No, this is Bible, Genesis chapter 6. Wait, you said...
It's crazy! Just because it's and the Bible is crazy. Hey, this sounds pretty crazy. Don't worry, it's the Bible. Okay, then. Yeah, the Bible's just fucking crazy. Ancient Jews just making up total bullshit. That's what it is. No, dude, you're just covering for the alien Nephilims, bro. Adam, why are you so tall? Are you a Nephilim?
Fallen angels, what have to do with demons? Because listen, how were the giants destroyed? The giants were not fully human and they were not fully spirit. They were the progeny of fallen angels who cohabitated with human females. The children born out of the women were giants called Nephilim or Anakim. Goliath was the son of Anak or the Anakim, some sort of genetic freaks. Isn't it interesting? After Genesis 6, when the flood came and washed away the giants, where did their souls go? What kind of souls did they possess?
Good question.
My opinion. And I've studied this for years. And it's
Dude, we need this question answered. We need to solve this. Where did the demon souls go after the flood? Serious question. Dude, this is the type of stuff that we need to be getting the bottom of. Real serious stuff. Not weird at all.
Some sort of genetic freaks. Isn't it interesting? After Genesis 6, when the flood came and washed away the giants, where did their souls go? What kind of souls did they possess? This is my opinion. And I've studied this for years, and it's still my opinion. I believe that judgment fell upon the generation of Noah because the line had been crossed that these fallen angels had cohabitated with women. They had human offspring that were hybrids. And when those hybrids were swept away in death by the flood, that those spirits of those hybrids, demons. There's angels fallen and not fallen, and then there's demons that are creatures always looking to inhabit something. Angels, according to the Bible, can appear and disappear. Demons need something to possess, including idols.
Dude, I'm so black-pilled watching this stuff. How is this the discourse?
Demons don't.
Let's skip to Joel Webbin talking about Nephilim too. Where is it? Here it is.
So what do you think? Do you think the new right will it be Christian, or do you think it'll just be anti-religious, just kind of more of a natural?
I think people need religion. You know,
I think so.
I used to be atheist, and I realized how flawed of a thinking that is. Obviously, there's a God and a spirit world, but then it's like,
obviously, dude, there's a spirit world. Like, did you hear Ball bank account? Obviously, that fucking there's spirits and God is real. I used to be an atheist, but obviously God's real now. Obviously the Bible's real. Bad things happen, so obviously God's real. People just can't survive without like the Jewish Bible and the Jewish God. Duh. We won't survive without Jesus, dude.
We also need something to unite us, to pull us together, and I don't think the paganism.
What better to pull us together than all worshiping the King of the Jews together, huh? Dude, nothing can unite us except the Jewish king.
Whatever they're pushing, or right. Atheism. And I'm not even trying to bash paganism. I mean, like, I think
hold on. Jews are not pushing atheism and paganism. Religious Jews are promoting Noahidism through Christianity and Islam. Stop burying your head in the sand and ignoring the endless clips of rabbis saying how they view Christianity and what their goal is. Dude, the goal of the Jews, if you want to be JQ, I always ask JQ people this, what is the JQ? What is the ultimate goal of Jews and Judaism? The whole world worshiping their God. And you're sitting here saying, well, people need that God. And sure, it's Jewish, but I'm just going to say it's not Jewish. I'm just going to lie and be in denial. That's going to work great. Judaism is built upon conquering paganism.
I'm not even trying to bash paganism. I mean, like, I think even like in the Bible, he says, worship no gods besides me. There are demons.
I think there are other gods.
That would be bashing paganism. I'm not even bashing paganism, but the Bible says, the Jewish Bible says, only worship the Jewish God, not the pagan gods. That would be anti-pagan.
Exactly. We could talk about that.
Exactly.
So I don't look at the pagans, and say like, you guys are retarded, Zeus, Poseidon. Like, no, like, I think there are other gods.
Let's say don't worship other gods besides me, correct. Right? Very clearly, that's kind of implying.
So you're talking to an unhinged Fortean fringe kind of guy. So like,
I hear you say that. Like,
though.
Very true. Very unhinged. He believes in the pagan gods more than I do.
Believe like this, the sons of God. Job refers to the sons of God, Genesis chapter 6. I believe that this is a reference to angels, the angels that chose to rebel against God and follow Lucifer in his rebellion, that they were cast down from heaven to earth. These are now fallen angels. I think they took the daughters of men, human wives. I believe in Nephilim. I believe in giants. The whole 9 yards. So in terms of other gods, like I think that Greek mythology, Roman, like all these other gods, whether it be Poseidon or whether it be Zeus or this, that, and the other, I think that they actually were real and in a sense are real. Some of them.
Adam King says the same thing to me, by the way. I swear to God, Adam King, you have the same take as Adam King. That's how Jewish this is. Yeah, dude. Super serious guy. This is what we need leading the new right. A bunch of totally fantastical, delusional science fiction believers. Come on.
Now, I think bound by the finished work of Christ and like
hold on,
Zeus.
Christ, the Jewish God, like totally conquered all the pagan gods because they're like fallen angels and demons, bro.
This, that, and the other. I think that they actually were real. And in a sense are real. Some of them now, I think, bound by the finished work of Christ in like demonic dungeons.
Yeah, did you hear Jake? He loved that. Oh yeah, Christ totally conquered all the pagan gods, bro. The Jewish God totally dunked on all the white gods. Totally base, bro.
But I believe that all of these gods of mythology were actually fallen angels, and some of them actually did procreate with human women. And then I think, like for example, like a figure of antiquity like Hercules. I think Hercules was a Nephilim, part God, fallen angel, and part human. So like literally human, like super.
$5 on Rumble. Jake Shields is like the Matt Damon puppet from Team America World Police. Adds nothing to the discourse, might as well just be popping up every now and then and repeat his own name.
I don't remember that character too much. You're saying he looks like him or acts like him? Dude, we cannot have this mental illness leading the discourse. We need to grow up and get serious. Enough of the magical thinking, enough of the Jewish fairy tales. God, this is so embarrassing. This is such a clown show.
Literally human, like superhuman strength, but also could be killed. So I look at that and I'm like, I don't think that the Greeks and, all these people are just making it up.
Yeah.
I think we live in a spiritual world and it's real.
Crazy work. Crazy work. I guess I'm the crazy. I don't believe in giant angels from Genesis. I guess I'm the crazy one. I don't believe in Noah's Ark floods. I don't believe in Adam and Eve. I don't believe in wars in heaven with angels and demons. I'm the bad one. I'm the pariah. Man, think of how this book and these fairy tales have kept everybody distracted and confused and just completely retarded, unable to muster any type of serious opposition to the people that are in control of things. Yeah, think of all the people that... Oh, hold on.
The names sent $5 on Rumble. It was the live-action movie created by the creators of South Park. It was with puppets. They made the Matt Damon puppet retarded because the mold came out all deformed. Kinda looks like Shields.
Yeah. Jake sucks. He tried to say I'm a Jew and I'm disinfo. You're the biggest retard on the internet and you're shilling a Jewish Messiah and you're not even a Christian. And what happens is normal people, regular people, intelligent people start falling down the rabbit hole and start learning about Israel and Jews and Zionism. And then they see you guys and they think, holy shit, these guys are mentally ill. They see the flat earthers. They see you denying Jesus is Jewish, denying reality. They see you talking about fallen angels and demons and Noah's Ark, and they run for the hills. And then they go vote for leftist Democrats. And the only people that you do attract are the mentally ill retards. So you got a movement of a bunch of knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing, low IQ subtards with Dunning-Kruger
of people complained. Yeah. There's actually like a lawsuit. He said that President.
Here's Rogan talking about how at the generals at the bases are talking about.
Real Vision sent $5 on Rumble. Jake has been choked out too many times, obviously.
Yeah, at least Jake has an excuse. He's got CTE. He's been punched in the face a million times. He's been choked out and made unconscious. At least he has an excuse. He's never opened the Bible. He doesn't read. At least he has an excuse. It's all the idiots that are following him like he's some intellectual, the tip of the spear against Jews. What's everybody else's excuse, though?
He said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. And they said that the guy was saying this had a giant smile on his face, which made it all the weirder. Like, see if you could find that in there. Does it say that? No, it's not in that particular article. Oh, this is just
someone complained.
military.com.
Sounds like someone complained about it.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people complained. Yeah. There's actually like a lawsuit.
Yeah,
religious freedom law.
You risk like the whole self-fulfilling prophecy with that one.
Well, it's all just like, what are you?
Wait a second. What are you doing? What machines? What weapons do you control?
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking religious kooks. So it's not just, and also that is not how Jesus Christ would handle it. Let's go bomb Iran. That's how Jesus is going to come back. Like, do you think he would tell you that's the right way to?
Hold on, dude. Do you know what it says about Jesus coming back? He's going to come back and smite the nations with the sword, with a robe dripping in blood, and shred the winepress. Dude, this is the #1 podcaster in the world acting like Jesus is some lovey-dovey hippie. No, he's going to come back and rule the earth and conquer the Gentiles and throw people in the lake of fire. Listen to this. Jesus wouldn't do a war.
Jesus Christ would handle it. Let's go bomb Iran. That's how Jesus is going to come back. Like, do you think he would tell you that's the right way to do it? Like, no, how did you interpret the text?
Yeah, it says there's nations against nation, wars and rumors of wars. That's all needed for your end times Jewish prophecies, Joe. Yeah, obviously comedians and washed up fighters is where you get the real truth from. We should all we should have our intellectual class be UFC fighters and stand-up comedians. That'll work out great. Don't worry, guys. We're in good hands. Candace Owens, Stu Peters, Jake Shields, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson. What could go wrong? Any day now, we're about to bring down Zog. No worries. Yeah, zero knowledge of Revelation.
Jesus-y. Yeah,
right. Jesus-y. Like, how did you interpret that in the text? He said that President Trump has been anointed by
right-wing pastor and Ohio County Commissioner says the attack on Iran is end times ramifications and a sign that we are on the precipice of Armageddon.
This is not just an Iranian strike. This is a network.
Dude, check out this gilf.
This is not just an Iranian strike.
Yeah. The inmates are running the asylum. For sure.
This is not just an Iranian strike. This is a network strike. This has ramifications across the Middle East and end time ramifications as well. But this is just, I believe, the beginning of the end. This signifies what we've known has been coming as believers. We see the signs of the times. We've seen the falling away. We've seen church leaders being attacked. We've seen persecution in America of the church that we've never really seen to this degree. And now
they love their persecution complex. Jews say the same thing. Oh, the rise in anti-Semitism, that means Moshiach and redemption is near. Birth pangs of the Moshiach. They say the same shit. Persecution of the church. You guys are running the government. You guys are dominating the podcast world. You're dominating the social media algorithms. And they act like they're the poor victims. Oh, they make fun of us. They mock us and scoff. Such persecution.
Iran attacked Israel a year ago. We've seen all of these skirmishes happening, but Iran was never even considered in this debate or war. But if you read Ezekiel 37, you'll see Iran is talked about there, and that Iran comes in on the final scenes toward the end of what we call the beginning of a rapture and the end times, leading to us to the war of Armageddon. So Gog and Magog, we are on the precipice of that.
Yes, can't wait. Bombing Iran, Israel.
He's not even a comedian.
Yeah.
Calling himself a comedian is ironically the funniest thing he has ever said.
That is true. His comedy special sucked. Joe Rogan just yells a lot. That's his comedy, is just yelling and making stupid faces. Dude, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about how Joe Rogan's not funny and how his special bombed. It really was so bad, dude. He is not good. Very sad. And in order to be in the Joe Rogan sphere, you just have to pretend that he's funny. Bring on the rapture. Epstein files, Jesus, end times prophecies. Hold on. Satanism. The more Christian they are, the better answers we get. True. Let's go.
So first Jesus raptures the church and then his second coming, which are two separate events. And then from that point on, the Antichrist rises, reveals himself, promises prosperity, right?
You believe in the rapture?
I do believe in the rapture.
What do you think that is? Like you're going to float away in the clouds?
I believe so. I think it's in the blink of an eye.
Okay.
According
Have you heard
to
about the
scripture.
red heifer and the Jews trying to rebuild the third temple?
I have, yeah. You need a clean, blameless red heifer. You need a clean red heifer before Jesus comes back.
By the way, these people were set up with a table offering free prayers to people. This is the Christianity that is growing in momentum. This is normal Christians out there believing this shit in America. And this is the one that's growing. And they're the ones that are proselytizing and evangelizing. No, he doesn't realize she's crazy. He believes it too. And then later on in this video, he says like, yeah, we don't need to do anything. It's all God's plan. We just got to pray.
And the building of the third temple.
Do you support that? The building of the temple and the heifer sacrifice?
And no, I don't support it, but it's biblical. It's going to happen.
So it needs to happen.
It has to happen, yeah.
Okay. Has to happen. Oh, I don't support it, but it has to happen. So you're not going to stop it. No. There you go. All right.
What do you believe?
Trump just launched a war against Iran. Do you think that's part of end times prophecy? I don't support it, but it needs to happen. This is why I tried to get her to say this, to point this out. This is what prophecy does. I love the term. Amalek came up with it. Paralyzed by prophecy.
To be honest, I'm not too sure. I don't follow a lot of what Trump's doing right now.
You may or may not be, but
Here's the other one. Idiots. Do you think Satanists run America?
I think
you do.
I think I do, yeah.
You do, huh? So what do we do to stop that? Or to fight it?
What we're doing right now, we share the gospel until Jesus comes back. That's all we can do.
I don't think we do need to stop it. God's allowed them to be there.
See, don't got to stop them. Satanists are in charge. We don't got to do anything about it. It's God's plan, and we just got to keep praying. Don't worry. Trust the plan. We win. Eschatological edging. That's funny, Real Vision.
We believe that God is sovereign, and he has a plan at the end of the day that is good. So
okay. God wins.
God wins at the end of the day. What do we do to stop that? Yeah. We just continue on spreading the gospel to everyone around us.
You're a Christian? You got a cross? All right.
I am not, no.
That's enough of that. That's enough of that. Did we finish this one?
Like we've been around for, he was around for like millions of years, but the last 150 years.
First girl is pretty on the outside, but on the inside she's a low IQ. People like this are literally everywhere. Carsy stupid goyim everywhere. BTW, what do you think about Mark Passio?
I haven't seen enough from him. I've seen him before, but I hardly remember. Isn't he like former Satanist? He talks about satanic stuff or symbolism. I remember like a 9/11 symbolism video. That's like all I've seen from him, really. Don't know enough about him to comment. Yeah, this is why I'm doing these Man on the Streets. I'm going to go out this weekend and do it again to go find normies out there, and they all believe this shit. Or they'll be Christian and they just won't know anything about it.
Right. They're all just hallucinations.
Right.
They're all just lies.
Did we watch this whole clip already? Hold on.
You don't know generation, but there was probably something.
Okay, we did. We watched all of that. This was Joe Rogan. Remember when Jordan Peterson?
To a Christian.
Who is also not a Christian. addicted to benzos, got hired by Ben Shapiro at Daily Wire to shill Israel, to interview Netanyahu, to promote Christianity in the Bible, even though he doesn't believe. He gets asked, do you believe in God? What does belief mean? What does God mean? What does I mean? And then he gets pressed. He's sitting at this 20-on-1 debate, 20 atheists versus a Christian, and he won't even admit he's a Christian. These grifters that want to pander Jesus to you and placate their Christian audience aren't real believers, but they go along to get along because it's so trendy, it's so popular, so normalized. Does Joe Rogan want to be the #1 podcast in the world? Sure, of course. Does he want to lose 60, 70, 80% of his audience because they're Christian? No, of course not. He'd only make $100 million instead of $500 million. Why would he do that? Why would any of these podcasters or influencers want to have me on the show or say the things I'm saying and point out that the Bible is obviously Jewish fairy tales? Because they don't want to alienate their audience. They don't want to be attacked by the mob of Christians picking up their pitchforks and calling you an antichrist and a demon.
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure.
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
Somewhat.
Okay. You're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either you're a
'cause I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under.
He's not a Christian, but he doesn't want to say that because his job is to shill Christianity to the Goyim.
The Mormons are the only politically viable group in America that has an internally consistent theology that considers America Zion and everything secondary. Actual allies.
That's a joke, I'm sure.
Under the impression I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him. Why is that relevant?
Epic. Rectum. This is the guy that Wes Heff was just on.
I'm going to ask you again because I want to be clear. Is what is the God you believe in?
I think that the claim that Christ is the embodiment of the prophet and the laws, I think that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
The embodiment of the laws. He is a literary device, a fictional figure that is the embodiment of the laws or of the books of Moses, of the scriptures. They made a story based on prophecies and scripture.
So, that's complicated. It's very, very complicated.
It's very complicated.
So you believe that Jesus was
God?
God.
Yeah.
What a bullshitter.
I'm going to ask you again because I want to be clear. Is what is it you believe?
Crazy. I'm looking for the "Do you believe in God" video. Funny how he just cracked. Jordan Peterson's gone. He's in the hospital. He's addicted to drugs. His mind cracked. He became a Christian. He started shilling Jesus, and then he snapped. Now he's in a mental institution or something like that. I can't find him. Jordan Peterson, believe in God. Jordan Peterson, believe in God. You guys have probably seen it. I played it before, but it's just the funniest clip in the world. What do you mean by believe? What do you mean by is?
Ron,
it doesn't make any sense to me unless we're acting on someone else's interests, like particularly Israel's.
They've scrubbed it from the internet.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
not on Twitter.
They had supposedly dismantled their chances of making a nuclear bomb. Whether or not that's true, it's so hard to know.
He was unsatisfied, and just like he was like, I'm not getting anywhere in these negotiations. and I'm going to replace the person I'm negotiating with. It's just, you know, turn over the table, like change things up. You're not getting anywhere. And you could say he was too impatient. I mean, their view was the Democrats were too patient with Iran. They kept trying with Iran. They weren't giving them what they wanted. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, I think that's what
like Joe Rogan's this intellectual dark web. Remember that Barry Weiss, the ultra Zionist queen that now runs like Paramount and what is it? Not CNN. CBS. She was on Joe Rogan. She did an article promoting Joe Rogan and the Weinsteins and Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin and the Zionist mainstream alternative media. You know, it's Joe Rogan that largely popularized Lev. What is it? Lev. What's the guy's name? The other podcaster that's boring as hell. Lev something and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson. And now they're all shilling Jesus all together. What does that tell you?
Explains it. They haven't done a very good job explaining it, because I think that it just sounds to some extent like what it is, which is that they're acting without. They're sort of like, well, does it result in regime change in Iran? We don't know. They might say that we want that or whatever, but that's not ultimately. They're not acting on the basis of achieving regime change.
Here's the clip. You guys ready for the end of the world? Thanks to Christ cucks and rabbis and Muslims and of the world.
No, so people say to me, "What do you believe in God?" And I think, okay, there's a couple of mysteries in that question. What do you mean do? What do you mean you? What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God? And you say, as the questioner, well, we already know what all those things mean, except belief in God. And I think, no, if we're going to get down to the fundamental brass tacks, we don't really know what any of those things mean.
We got to get down to the brass tacks, and I'm going to avoid this question. I'm going to deflect and not answer this basic question that everybody knows the meaning of these words to. What a charlatan. Go clean your room.
Will keep us out of.
Trump says he started the war to keep us out of war.
Questions, Peter?
Yes. You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war.
It's just a little excursion. Call it a holiday. It's a little vacation in Iran for our troops. It's not a war. But we'll win. He'll call it, just like in last year, it was like, it's not a war. We're just bombing their nuclear sites. No boots on the ground. And then it's like, we just won the 12-day war. It's an excursion, all right? These aren't euphemisms.
It's going to be, for them it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought. Questions, Peter?
Yes. You just said.
That may be true. But it's going to create a vacuum. It's not over. He's going to declare victory. Mission accomplished, just like Bush did. Okay, let's do see through it all clip from Wes Huff, who was just on with The Diary of a CEO. 1.7 million views from 2 days ago. #1 Christianity expert. The truth about Christianity. The case for Jesus. Historians' proof. 70,000 likes. What other evidence do you need that this is the op? Oh, there's nothing they fear more. Oh, they're trying to destroy Christianity. Is that why my channel's banned and I'm blacklisted and don't get on any even small podcasts? But Wes Huff pops on the scene, debates some kooky idiot, and then it's just Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David, every big podcast there is. Hey, are all the E-Crusaders in his replies making up defamatory, slanderous videos about Wes Huff and how he debunking him and debating him on how he's not a real Christian and how Christianity is actually based in anti-Jewish and Jesus wasn't Jewish? Or is that happening? No, of course it's not.
Of it, because if they were all telling the same thing, you could argue.
So the story in the Bible is that he was killed on the cross, murdered on the cross, and then he was put into a tomb. And then who saw him come out of the tomb?
So nobody physically sees him come out of the tomb, but the women go to the tomb in the morning and on the third day, and the tomb is empty. And so there are 4 accounts, right? And I think it's interesting also that we have 4 accounts.
In other words, 4 different versions of the story
that kind of give different angles on the stories. It's not as if they got together and they corroborated and all gave the same story.
No. It's first it was Mark. Well, actually, Mark doesn't even have. No. He does have them going to the empty tomb in Mark, and then Matthew copied Mark, and then Luke copied Matthew and Mark, and they all changed up little details to make the story a little more persuasive, a little more sound.
Fact is that we have 4 accounts that kind of capitalize on different angles, which.
It's not different angles. It's completely contradictory, impossible, different scenarios.
The differentiation in detail, I think, actually gives credibility to the reliability of it. Because if they were all telling the same thing, you could argue that they got together and they colluded. They don't.
Dude, if I was Wes Huff's youth pastor, I would have sat him down and asked this.
All right, man, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Are you a fag?
Don't do that. In fact, they touch on different aspects of the story.
Are these people saying that they saw him walk out? Are they saying
number 1 top expert in Christianity? Let's learn about Christianity from this Christian apologist. Great plan. Hey, are you ever going to bring on a skeptic to debunk Christianity? Of course not. Yeah, thanks, Amalek. Yeah, all these different eyewitness accounts disagreeing with each other is actually proof that it's real and true. Are you questioning my faith? You want to go?
What is the claims being made about his resurrection from these witnesses?
Yeah, so the tomb is empty.
The tomb is empty.
And so it's interesting in one of the accounts.
Dude, Wes is probably on steroids. He benches like 500 pounds. He swings big old swords around and wears a E-Crusader hat. He'd probably be like,
Faith, dude, what do you have, you little bitch? You want to throw down, bro?
Okay, hey.
You want to see what it feels like to talk shit about Christians, dude? Take your heat.
But that's Wes Huff if he gets pressed by me. That's how he'll act.
Mary's at the tomb, and she actually talks to Jesus, but she confuses him with a gardener. Now, I think it's interesting that she doesn't confuse the gardener with Jesus. She confuses Jesus with the gardener. Like, she thinks that this person she's talking to isn't Jesus. She doesn't recognize him at first. And
Dude, that's so funny because my gardener's name is Jesus too. What are the odds? Hey, sorry, Jesus. Bad pronunciation. My gardener's name is Jesus too.
She asks him, what happened? Why is the tomb opened? Where did the body go? And then there's also an account of an angel appearing and saying, why are you looking for the living among the dead? He's not here. He's risen. And then they go back to the disciples who are, hiding in this upper room. Mary says, I met you. The tomb's empty. I've met Jesus. Jesus is not in the tomb. He's risen. And some of them don't even believe her. They think she's crazy. Now, we don't have like an eyewitness account of the tomb being open. And this is actually an embarrassing fact.
Dude, you don't have eyewitness of any of this shit. It's all a made-up story from Mark. Mark was not an eyewitness. He didn't interview eyewitnesses. It is a symbolic fiction. But hey, bring him on. Call him an expert. Joe Rogan vouches for him. Millions of views. Overnight celebrity. The new Bart Ehrman.
World. So some of those other gospels that I mentioned earlier that are written later on, Gospel of Thomas, Judas, Mary, Peter. There's one of them, the Gospel of Peter, which is actually trying to remedy this fact that women are the first eyewitnesses to the empty tomb, which is an embarrassing fact in the ancient world. If that's not true, if they made it up, it seems very unlikely that they would have done that, because women are not considered good eyewitnesses in either Greco-Roman or, unfortunately, Jewish society.
I've seen this debunked too.
So the Gospel of Peter tries to remedy the situation by having all of the right people in the right place at the right time. It has the Jewish...
Mark has a theme of reversal of expectations, so having women there first.
The Roman officials camping out in front of the tomb.
Reversal of expectations.
Happens, has this recounted the story of the literally the stone moving, Jesus coming out, all these things.
And women could be witnesses in ancient Jewish courts also. I've seen this thoroughly debunk this
And
claim.
we know it's not historically reliable. We know that because of when it was written. We also know that on...
Wait, what did he say? We know it's historically reliable because when it was written, what do you mean, decades after the event? Hold on. Whoa, slow your horses there, buddy. We know it's real because it was written afterwards.
Of the literally the stone moving, Jesus coming out, all these things. Now, we know it's not historically reliable. We know that because of when it was written. We also know that on the eve of Passover...
Wait, he just said it's not historically reliable. I misheard him.
The priests would not be camping out in front of a dead body. It's just historically anachronistic.
Oh, he's talking about Gospel of Peter.
But it is an account of a literary source later on that is embarrassed by what...
Yeah, no, they made up... They added to the story because people were pushing back and being like, he didn't move the thing and leave the tomb. He didn't rise from the dead and leave the tomb. His disciples probably opened it up and took the body. That was their response. So then they added to the story and they go, no, dude, there was guards. There was Roman guards. The Jews were there. They were watching. So they added to the story to respond to the objections that they were getting.
We find in here about the biographical information of the empty tomb.
So is it just two women that said they met Jesus in some form after his death, Mary being one of them, which was his mother?
No.
Who's Mary?
Mary, so there are a number of Marys in the New Testament. This was Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
Yeah, who was like a close associate.
Okay, like a friend.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so a friend, and then is it just her that says she saw him
There was a group of them.
A group of them?
Yeah, of the women.
Okay, and they were separate when they saw him. They were on their own.
They were together. So one of the gospel only mentions Mary. I believe it's the Gospel of John.
What a stupid question. How could they be separate if they all saw him?
Like I said before, it implies that there are more because she says, we don't know where they put the body.
Okay.
So though that account only has her recounting, it implies that there are others. And then the other gospels have more women that are going to the tomb.
As a percentage, what degree of certainty do you have that he was resurrected and that he was who he said he was?
He's going to say 100%. Watch. I haven't watched it yet. I just know he's going to say 100%, which shows you that these people are a joke.
Because I agree with you that this character clearly existed. Like, Jesus clearly existed. I personally believe that he was killed, probably on a cross. But then you get to this point of resurrection, which you have to then believe in something supernatural.
Yeah.
So what's the probability you'd assign to it?
I
zero.
Likely, unlikely, very likely.
They're all likely because I think that what the gospel authors are doing is communicating truth. And I
clearly existed. I saw Bart Ehrman say so. Bart Ehrman said all the scholars agree, so he clearly existed.
Don't ultimately see an overabundance of
And no, I'll never interview any of the top mythicists. Of course not.
Reason why they would write what they wrote, other than actually recounting a story of what took place.
I grew up in a place called Plymouth in the UK. I was born in Africa. And in my local park, there was this big poster on the wall about the White Lady. I'll put it up on the screen. It's like a big legend in our city. It's this park, and everybody says that they see this white lady.
Radical skeptic Bart Ehrman, right?
There's a big board explaining her life, but it's all just accounts of people that say they've seen her. You have things like the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland as well, where there's been 1,500 sightings of this big monster in the river. And even up until recent times, 2025, there was a surge of sightings of the Loch Ness Monster called the Black Mass in the bay. And that started in 565 AD. So one of the things that I've always sort of struggled with when I think about humans saying they saw something is we still today have sightings of UFOs and Loch Ness Monsters and white ladies in parks that become legend. And actually with the Loch Ness Monster, it's pretty interesting that even today there are sightings all the time of this monster that lives in the river. Now I think maybe me and you both...
Dude, there were no sightings. There was no empty tomb. Until the Gospels, there was no empty tomb. All the epistles and Paul's letters all came before the Gospels, and none of them talk about an empty tomb. It's a story about an empty tomb. There were not. It's not like, should we believe the eyewitnesses claiming they saw an empty tomb? There was no eyewitnesses that saw an empty tomb. It's all a myth. Come on.
Agree that there's no monster in the river, but there's something going on. There's something in human nature.
Loch Ness Monster is anti-Semitic.
Proclivity to engage in supernatural sightings, and then once we've heard it once, we then reinforce that we've seen it too. And even as like a young man, I mean, maybe you believe this, but like I believed that there was a woman that would stand on the landing of my home, and it would like wake me up, and I would run and tell my parents that the lady stood on the landing again. There's people watching this that think that was actually okay. There was. But you know what I'm getting at is like, how can we trust human accounts of these things when clearly humans have an ability to make things up that aren't real in some situations?
Sure. Part of the answer to the question is, one of the evidences for Jesus' resurrection is the fact that you and I, Stephen, are still talking about it almost 2,000 years later.
Their evidence is that people still talk about it. Hey, the magic book must be real because people still talk about the magic book. Bro, mic drop. Now I see why he said mic drop.
So the story...
Dude, it's true because people believe it's true. Duh. Oh my gosh. He's like, but why should we believe this? Well, I believe it. That's basically what he says. Well, lots of people believe it. That's funny. Funnier than Joe Rogan's comedy, right? Dude, wow.
What an idiot.
Number one Christian expert, by the way.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
Can't believe it. What fallacy is that? I don't know, but it's got to be, I'm sure it's got a name. Hey, everybody's talking about Muhammad in the Quran. I guess that's real. Hey, everybody's talking about Game of Thrones. I guess that's real. Hey, people believe something, so it must be true. Hitler, yeah, maybe not. Let's go there, Zionist cuck. We are talking about it equals makes sense. You know, I heard this argument before, too. What was it? I'm not going to remember. Appeal to consensus? Appeal to belief? Yeah. Dan McClellan's doing a debunk on him. Let's see the debunk.
From the point of Jesus' death, what book from the New Testament is written last, and how big is that gap?
That's a debate.
All right, let's see it.
Okay, what's the debate?
So the debate. So it's a question if John's gospel is written before 70 AD or after 70 AD, and if it's written after 70 AD, it's written in the 90s. So it's written.
People still believing and being duped that a myth is true means the myth is true. Solid logic. That's the type of logic that makes you a super famous number one expert Christian apologist, apparently. Hey, what's the best evidence that Jesus is real? People believe it. Okay, bro.
Pretty far afterwards. It's just at minimum, I think, like 99% of historians, biblical scholars, classicists would argue that the 27 books of the New Testament are written in the first century.
So this is a ludicrous falsehood. I think you could get away with saying about 99% of relevant scholars agree that the majority of the New Testament texts were completed prior to 100 CE. But there are a minority of scholars that greatly exceeds 1% that would argue that the dating window of texts like the Gospel of Luke or the Gospel of John or 2nd and 3rd John or even Revelation extends into the first or even the second quarter of the 2nd century CE. And you've got other texts like the pastoral epistles where that percentage is probably more like 25 to 50% of scholars would say the dating window extends into the first or the second quarter of the 2nd century CE. And when it comes to texts like 2 Peter, I think the majority of scholars agree that the text was written in the 2nd century CE. Even conservative scholars
and not by Peter.
The dating window goes into the first quarter, but I think the majority of scholars would say it was probably written between like 100 and 150 CE.
And what does this matter? Assuming Jesus is real, which he's not, you got all these books that are written decades after the fact. Like, that's a big W. Oh, it's only been 50 years since these things happened, and we have this book, so that's really good evidence. Or how about that all the earliest books of the New Testament are written by Paul, and he never knew an earthly Jesus, and said he only knew of him, not from oral tradition, not from eyewitnesses, but from personal revelatory experiences and seeing him manifested from the scriptures.
So I don't know where Wes is getting this number from, but it's certainly not biblical scholarship.
He's pulling it out of his ass
as something that he's just spitballing based on what he feels, rather than any actual competent grasp of the relevant literature.
Incompetent, confirmed. Dude, this is 2.5 hours. Historians' proof. I have to watch the rest of it. Maybe that was the best part. Why evolution alone? Do animals have souls? Sin, does prayer work? Religion versus AI, why young people are coming to Jesus? Maybe because you're being shoved in front of all their faces. And the algorithm's boosting you, and every big platform is boosting you. The Bible, why humans? Okay, we're not watching all that today. But this is a good video that Derek made responding to Trent Horn, who is misrepresenting mythicism and doing the appeal to Bart Ehrman. Wow, we're an hour and a half in already. What is this one?
There are some...
Dude, we're going to have to skip that for another day, actually. Sorry, Derek. Let's go to Joel Webb and Jake Shields. This is out today.
On the new right, there are...
One of the first questions he asked 20 minutes into their podcast today, they're talking about Jesus being a psyop and pagans that are anti-Christian. That's how much of an impact we're having, that we're dominating their discourse. They're in damage control, and they're pressed.
Talking about on the new right, there are Christians, there are non-Christians. What do you think? I'm curious, like from your perspective, who do you think's going to win out when it's all said and done? Because I look at some of these guys who it's like they have a very similar position to me. We get there from different paths, but some similar conclusions on Israel, some similar conclusions on nationalism, similar conclusions on immigration, all those kinds of things. But they are like, they don't like Christianity. They even would go so far as to say Christianity is a Jewish psyop to weaken the West.
There's a big push against that right now.
There is.
A Jewish myth. They notice. They see us. They fear us.
White people, I've talked to some of these guys. I'm trying to tell them, like, bro, you're not going the right approach. Just say he's not Jewish. Like,
right.
Just lie, dude. Just like totally deny the Bible, bro. Adam, what are you doing? Just say Jesus was a white Aryan anti-Semite, dude. What could go wrong? Yeah, dude, my name's Jake and I got CTE and I've never read the Bible, but just like lie, dude. Let's just all lie to ourselves. Come on, dude. All the E-Crusaders can just lie and say he's actually not Jewish and we're not actually worshiping a Jewish religion that was started by Jews worshiping the Jewish Messiah. Just, that's not the right way, dude. Just lie. You get way more followers. You sell way more Jesus t-shirts. You get way less attacked by the mob of Christians. Hey, just lie. You'll get laughed out of every church. You'll lose every debate, but just lie, dude. Come on, dude. We're just all going to lie to ourselves and pretend we're going to be worshiping the King of the Jews while pretending he's not Jewish. What could go wrong?
Who is like, they have a very similar position to me. We get there from different paths, but some similar conclusions on Israel, some similar conclusions on nationalism, similar conclusions on immigration, all those kinds of things. But they are like, they don't like Christianity. They even would go so far as to say Christianity is a Jewish psyop to weaken the West.
There's a big push against that right now.
There is.
A lot of white people, I've talked to some of these guys. I'm trying to tell them, you're not going the right approach. Just say he's not Jewish. Like, the Son of God. How is the Son of God a Jew? This is like, I don't think
because he's the Jewish Messiah. He's not this cope, dude. He's not Jewish. He's God. So you think God is a Jew? Well, yeah. Well, not. Come on, dude.
Bible ever says Mary's Jewish, does it?
Yes, it does.
It's calling genealogy.
Just say yes, dude. Yes, you know Jesus is Jewish. Don't lie.
Genealogies are very complicated. You know, you have Ruth, you have Rahab, you have different people in the genealogy of Christ.
It's not complicated.
And then
the same word for Jews, the Jews killing Jesus, is what Jesus is called when he's born, when he's died. He's called rabbi. Dude, we could just say Jesus is whatever we want it to be, bro. Go try that in a church, Jake. You've never opened the Bible. You've never been to church. Go try to walk into a church and be like, well, actually, Jesus isn't Jewish. Let me tell you why. This is Jake and the Christians. You know, you could just humbly accept that Christianity is Jewish, and instead they want to distort the Bible's meaning to fit their delusional narrative. Nah, dude, he's not Jewish. He's just circumcised on the 8th day according to Jewish law. He's just reading the Hebrew Torah in the Jewish synagogues. He's just from the line of Judah. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He just celebrated Passover and Hanukkah and the Jewish holidays. He only came to his own and they did not receive him, his own people. Yeah, dude, the coping about Jesus being Jewish, that's the winning strategy. That's the path forward. Jake's got it figured out. All the church fathers, all the major denominations, 99.999% of the Christians in the churches in the world all know without question that Jesus is Jewish. It's not even a topic of debate. And you're going to tell me that we're going to defeat these lying Jews by lying. Great plan. Yeah, they're feeling the heat.
Then it gets into like, well, how do you define Jew? Does it mean Judean? You know, or is it just stand-in, you know, synonymous for a Hebrew? So to me, it's like, yeah, I know the guys who make.
No, Jesus isn't Jewish. You're a Jew. That's their cope. Kazarian beef jerky.
He sent $10. Crazy how Christians are blind to the fact that Christianity is clearly getting pushed on all podcasts, social media algos, and through stuff like prayer apps, but still say they don't want you to believe in Christ Lamau.
Yeah, they're trying to destroy it. That's why Ben Shapiro promotes you to go to church all the time.
The arguments about, well, the Jews were Edomites, you know, or there's
I
this
understand an argument, but I refuse to say Jesus is Jewish. I'm just not going to.
I don't have a problem with that. I think that's.
I refuse to just acknowledge reality, bro. He's not Jewish in my head. Meanwhile, look at Webben.
Agnostic, atheistic, pagan.
Pagans.
But race first white people that I think are absolutely integral.
Jake's a bitch too. He called me disinfo and blocked me.
To
what a pussy.
Movement, to furthering the dissident right, and like you talked about with the mustard seed.
Why would the son of the Jewish God be a Jew?
Yeah.
I like my Jesus to be Filipino so I can get a maximum height mog.
Right. Height mog. Yeah, it's only the Jews. Oh, thank you, Biodigital Goblin. Big dono. Thank you. Yeah, it's only the Jews waiting for their Messiah to conquer the Gentiles. And that's who Jesus is. He came to his own. They rejected him according to the scriptures. It's a myth. It never actually happened. Goes to the Gentiles, conquers the Gentiles and their pagan gods. And then now we're going to cope and say he's not Jewish. Meanwhile, look at Webben. Watch this.
What is the place and how do we unify with people on this front? Because what you said about Christianity, even though I'm Catholic, kind of Catholic in name only right now.
You need to go to Mass.
I do need to go to Mass. I do believe what you said about Christendom, but more as it relates to race. Like I believe if we're a homogenous, so
look about it and the way it plays.
It is so overwhelmingly welcoming.
All those things that just emphasize so much race, ethnicity. I mean, when you practically think about it and the way it plays out, it doesn't go anywhere good. You know, I've got 3 girls, and if one of them, you know, brings some Hispanic guy home one day when she's older, and the guy loves the Lord, then I want to say, praise God, marry my daughter.
This isn't the clip.
No,
this isn't kosher.
Hold on.
Please. Here it is. This is what I'm looking for.
Well, as a Christian pastor, let me give you the incredible gift of losing half of your audience. Is that okay?
Please. Dude, his fake NPR voice, so persuasive.
Cheers. Hail Odin.
Hail Odin.
We punish our listeners all the time.
Oh.
For the guys who are, ethnic, pagan, ethno-nationalist, but I have no doubt they are very J-pilled. Rejecting Christ is the most Jewish thing you can do.
Based.
Rejecting the Jewish Messiah, rejecting the Jewish God, rejecting the Jewish Bible, rejecting the Jewish prophets is the most Jewish thing you can do. No, it's totally not Jewish to bow down to the King of the Jews and call yourself spiritual Jews and inwardly Jewish and circumcise your hearts and be the true Israel. That's not Jewish. No, this white guy over here that doesn't believe in Jewish fairy tales, that's the Jew. Jesus isn't Jewish, you are. That's the cope. By the way, how can the Jews reject their Jewish Messiah and Jesus not be Jewish? How can Jesus come to his own, but they did not receive him? If Jesus came to the Jews and they are his own, then Jesus is Jewish. All right? How many times are we going to keep doing this? I'm sorry, Bible expert Jake just goes, just lie, dude. Come on, dude. Just denying the Bible and reality, that's the way forward. Come on, we got to placate all these e-crusaders on the internet.
So there is a sense in which Gentiles, we are receiving a Jewish salvation by virtue of our faith in Christ. Christ is the most Jewish Jew who ever lived.
Jewish Jew that ever lived. Oh, why didn't you say that when Jake told you that Jesus wasn't Jewish? Webben, what happened? Come on, own it. He does actually own it. He goes, well, it's a moot point. It doesn't really matter because he like flipped the tables and they rejected him and he destroyed the temple and blah, 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 blah.
I'm just not going to say it. They can make the argument, but I'm not going to say Jesus is Jewish. It's
right.
Like,
yeah, that's fine. To me, it doesn't really matter. It's like if Jesus is Jewish.
It does matter. You worshiping the Jewish Messiah and the Jewish God matters a lot. That was their whole goal to begin with. It matters.
Fine, but in AD 70, Christ spiritually returned in judgment through the human agency of Titus and destroyed the temple, destroyed all Jerusalem. So if he was Jewish, he still came back and judged his own people, indicting them for their unbelief, their rejection of him, the fact that they shouted and demanded that he be crucified. So either way, it's like...
Yeah, under the PSYOP theory, that didn't happen. It's a myth. I have so many memes for this. Reject everything Jewish except their God and their rejected Messiah. This is Jake when he wakes up in the morning. This is Joel Webben when he wakes up in the morning. You do not worship a Jew. What else do we got here?
Excellent point.
Yeah, if you're going to say Jesus is Jewish and therefore Jews are special, it's like the whole New Testament basically tells us that Jews aren't special.
Yeah.
What matters is faith. Do you trust?
No, it says that they were given the oracles of God, that they're the root that supports you, that their transgression brought you salvation, that you want to have their chosen covenant. You want to be grafted into their covenant. That makes them special. It says that they're the promises, their calling is irrevocable because they're the calling of the patriarchs.
In Christ, whether Jew or Gentile. To me, it's a moot point.
I agree. I think they get too hung up on it, and but they do have a point though.
Dude, why are you so hung up that we're all worshiping the King of the Jews, dude, and the Jewish Messiah? Like, why are you hung up about that? Who cares, dude? Just say he's not, bro. Just lie to yourself.
There are the Christian Zionists that make that argument.
That's true.
So that's why I do understand their argument, and I try to talk to these guys and tell them, why don't you have a different approach of just being like taken, like you said, how he He turned on them. He flipped the tables.
Right.
You mean, but the truth?
Right. If you look at the religion, they think he's boiling in hell.
Correct.
They despise him. They spit on Christians. So clearly he's not of these people.
Correct. Yep. Absolutely.
Dude, two sex fighting, Jewish infighting doesn't make it not Jewish. It makes them both Jewish. Oh, the Talmud says 300 years later that he's in a bad place. Like, who gives a fuck? He's not for the Jews. He's meant to conquer the Gentiles. This is pathetic. What a laughing stock.
Yeah, the Judeo. Have you, in the last couple of years, as you've been kind of exploring faith, have you visited a church or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come by your church.
I would love to have you come to our church.
Like, I like the anti-Zionist. I just couldn't do like a Zionist church. That's like,
of course not.
To me.
Yeah,
Judeo-Christian values. Like,
well, good luck finding a church that accepts you, Jake. I wonder why he doesn't go to church. Because he knows it's stupid and because he would be ran out of there. Can you imagine Jake going to church like, actually, does this church believe Jesus is Jewish? Because I will never admit that. All right, well, take a hike, buddy. That's what they would say. Yeah, dude, you're going to be stuck at Joel Webbin's church or maybe Pastor Anderson. Here's Joel Webbin's church, by the way. Check out Joel Webbin in the living room.
From whom all blessings flow.
Brand new church. Dude, it looks like there's almost 10 people there. Bro, these guys are about to take down Christian Zionism in no time. Just you wait. Just you wait. Fuentes and the Groypers, they're bringing down the Vatican. They're taking over the Vatican. They're going to rip up Vatican II and be so based. Any day now. Any day now. The E-Crusaders are going to take over. Tax exempt. Jews fear this. This is what Israel hates. Yeah, the kitchen cam. Cultists LARPing as Jews, right. Yeah, the IDF stands no chance against these idiots. Dude, nothing the Jews fear more than you worshiping their God and believing their prophets, dude. Nothing more.
That's just insane.
Yeah,
Zog's time is up.
Judeo-Christian, I'm sure you've seen the memes where it's like, it's like a picture of Christ on the cross, and it's like Christian, and it shows Jesus, and then it shows the nail like going Judeo.
Yeah. I've seen that meme.
It's an oxymoron. Jumbo shrimp. It's Judeo-Christian doesn't make any sense. Have you?
Yes, it does, because you're worshiping the Judean. King David is the king of Judah. It started in synagogues reading by people practicing Judaism. It comes from Judaism. It is the fulfillment of Judaism. That's why it makes perfect sense. Judeo-Christian. You share the Old Testament. Dude, these copes, man. Pathetic. Pitiful. Jake's going to have to learn the hard way. Oh, he whipped the money changers. Dude, Jake's really sold on that story. It's like the fake story based on prophecy. Doesn't even say anything about usury either. Look at these memes. Jesus was not a Jew. That's why he spread the Torah, was circumcised, taught in synagogues, did purification bathing rituals. Said salvation is from the Jews. He's the son of Yahweh. Yahweh saves is his name. Seed of David, the king of Judah, called rabbi, called king of the Jews, celebrated Jewish holidays, kept the Sabbath. Totally not Jewish though, bro.
You don't need a church between you and God.
What do you think the gospel is?
I guess with Christianity, I get torn because
Jews hate it when we believe Torah.
I was anti-Christian before because some of these churches I didn't like, the Vatican, the terrible things they've done to children.
You mean like all the churches? You mean like 99.9999% of all the churches in the world you don't like? Oh, but Webben has a good church.
There's a church in San Francisco where I used to live that had like a trans flag on it. I see disgusting stuff like that, but then I realized you don't need a church between you and God that you yourself can take up. And you don't need the Old Testament as much as, like Jesus' teaching, which are almost all good. Because there's things in the Old Testament I would see with like, oh, I haven't read it, but things I would see in there that I didn't like.
Dude, Jesus is supposedly the God of the Old Testament. You can't separate the Old Testament from the New, dude. Well, Old Testament's bad, but New Testament. Come on, dude. Jesus is the fulfillment of the promises of the Old Testament to conquer all the Goyim. Yeah, also, you haven't read it. We played the clip of him the other day saying he's never opened the Bible, but now you're going to tell us that, oh, you don't need the Old Testament? What are we doing here?
Then you see Jesus' teachings and you're like, oh, this is...
I've tried to get Joel Webben to debate me on multiple different platforms. Jake was supposed to try to set it up. What are you running from, Joel? What are you so scared of, dude?
Much better.
Thank you, Al's cool.
Cool sent $5. I remember bringing up Lunar New Year to my uncle once and he was like, oh, that's not for us. But ironically the Jewish fairy tales are. Lunar New Year has more in common with what my ancestors believed than the Jewish slop that's been forced on us.
Yeah, at least the moon is real. That's a good point, Jack Stone. Hopefully this makes Christianity so cringe and embarrassing to even be associated with it that it will have a reverse effect. Probably. People are like, oh, what does a based Christian look like? Oh, Fuentes and Joel Webben? Okay, I'll pass.
And even I always thought he was like a pacifist, but then when he flipped the tables and made the whip, I didn't know that. He's a lot more relatable. It's like
he's like a UFC fighter, bro. I imagine my Jesus. He's got cut off shirt, just ripped muscles. He's in there just whipping the Jews up.
James Guzman sent $20 a Leo on Rogan wanting his Jesus to be ringside at UFK. Check out the movie Agora about the Christians taking control of the Library of Alexandria.
I think I've seen that movie. Yeah, Jesus who says, put away your sword and don't fight. And who says, turn the other cheek and love your enemy. Dude, super badass Jesus, bro.
He can have fury when it's needed.
Does your Jesus even lift? Dude, he was like a carpenter. He worked with his hands, probably had splinters and calluses.
You too.
Right. Yeah. No, Jesus was masculine. He was not an effeminate pacifist. That's
what he's made out to be.
Yeah. No, that is how he's made out to be. And I think one thing that's really important, you were, bifurcating the Old Testament and the teachings of Jesus. I think one thing, and a lot of people do that, a lot of Christians do that. But I think one thing that's important is that, with the finished work of Christ, we have the inauguration of the new covenant, and the new covenant is new. So there's a distinction to be made. But then as you look at, Jesus is the fulfillment.
Dude, Jake sees and these E-Crusaders see Jesus as some ancient badass comic book superhero. He's the #1 namer, bro. Dude, he called him the synagogue of Satan, dude. So based.
Look at, Jesus is the fulfillment of all the Old Testament. He even says, I have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And so a lot of the old...
Dude, Jesus was so militaristic and not a pacifist that he literally martyred himself. That's how he won. He died and he won. We're all going to be like Jesus and just martyr ourselves, and then we win.
Testament, one of the things that's difficult to come to terms with, but I think vital, is that the Old Testament, every single bit of it is good. And wherever we're like, man, that seems harsh, or that seems intense, or it's a user error, not the software. It's us. I look at Sodom. It's
so the Bible's never wrong. If you think it's wrong, that's a you problem, because the Bible's perfect. The Jewish Bible's perfect, and we will never criticize the Torah. Great. Yeah, the Jews hate that you think their book is perfect. They hate it. Yeah, dude, Jesus was like an Aryan Chad, dude, so masculine. 6'5", blonde hair, blue eyes, ripped abs, making whips, life of the party.
Okay, God rains down fire and destroys this whole city. But then, I don't know, in 2026, I look at San Francisco and I'm like, I get it. You know,
I lived in San Francisco. There's,
you know?
Better country if more young people. I say this very comfortably and almost enthusiastically as an American Jew. This is what Charlie Kirk taught me.
Tell us, Shabbos. Tell us, Shabbos. Tell all the goyim to go to church. We love hearing
America
it.
would be a much better country if more young people went to church. If you're a Christian, you should absolutely, I tell this to young people when I'm on college campuses, if you're a Christian, you need to be going to church, you need to be reading the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, of course, and you need to be living a life in accordance with the teachings of Jesus. In fact, Maimonides, one of our greatest rabbinic sages, he says that we as Jews have a particular obligation to show appreciation and gratitude to Christians, because it is Christians who brought about messianic expectations and monotheism to the world in a way that we Jews were never able to do. And America would be a much stronger country, a much better country, if young people
Joss
who have...
805 sent $5 on Rumble. The Korean Jesus is ripped.
Dude, they fear the Jesus whip so much. That's why it's the #1 top show on Amazon. Coming to theaters and IMAX, The Chosen. Look at this. The super kosher Chosen show is shilling the Jesus whip. So based, right, guys?
My house should be called...
Dude, Jake is ready to fucking come in his pants at Jesus with the whip, saving the animals. Ready?
My house should be called a house of prayer for all nations.
That's a quote from the Old Testament, too. Jesus didn't say it. Dude, Amazon owes your God. Dude, this goes so hard if you're Jake Shields.
But you make it a den of thieves.
Dude, that's my God right there. Nothing they fear more.
My house should be called a house of prayer for all nations. But you make it a den of thieves.
Dude, how badass is that, Jake? Bro, clear that temple out. Hey, you disrespecting my Jewish temple? You Jews aren't Jewing right in the Jewish temple? Not on my watch. For all the goyim. This temple's for all the goyim to bow down to. Hold on, I think I have more. Where's Netanyahu? I have a clip of Netanyahu talking about the whip. He goes, this is where Jesus came and whipped in the temple.
Real grievances, who have real problems, found solace and community. And I think that solace and community is most readily and easily found in religious institutions. So I'm not saying you guys are not young, but but as people in positions of power and leadership, I think the best thing you can be doing to help our country, encourage young Christians to go back to church. I say this very comfortably.
Go to church, goyim. I told Jake when I was on his show about the temple cleansing. I knew he was a fan of the temple cleansing thing. I'm almost positive I explained to him that this is a midrash and a myth and it never happened. In one ear, out the other, apparently. Cleansing of the temple never happened. It's a myth. Sorry, Christians. 5 reasons the cleansing of the temple never happened. And no, Jake loves to say this too. Usury is never explicitly contested in the cleansing of the temple story or in the New Testament at all.
Literary structure. Here are 5 reasons some argue the cleansing of the temple might be more myth than history. 1. Literary structure. The intercalation or sandwiching technique used in Mark, where the temple cleansing is framed by the fig tree story, suggests a symbolic rather than historical narrative. 2. Theological motifs. The story aligns with prophetic themes from Jeremiah and Psalms, emphasizing spiritual reform, which could indicate it was crafted to fulfill scriptural prophecies rather than report an event. 3. Absence in early Christian writings. The story is not mentioned in earlier sources like Paul's letters, suggesting it may have been a later theological development. 4. Symbolic timing. The event occurs during Passover, a highly symbolic time, emphasizing themes of liberation and judgment, which may indicate a constructed narrative. 5. Logistical improbability. the idea of Jesus single-handedly disrupting temple activities without immediate intervention is seen as logistically unlikely, suggesting a more symbolic rather than literal interpretation.
I really wish I could find Netanyahu, the clip of Netanyahu. I've been meaning to make a mix of that for a while. I think See Through It All might have. But like Netanyahu saying Jesus came and healed the blind and did miracles, and the Jesus boat. Maybe if I search See Through It All boat, it'll come up. He goes, Jesus came in with the whip in the temple. It's like he fears it so much that Netanyahu is shilling the temple whipping story. Let me see. See Through It All, search, and we're going to say boat. Maybe the Jesus boat mix will come up. Yo, let's hit the goal, guys. $85 to go.
Out there. One thing I heard of recently,
journey
can walk shooting is, and you know, there's a lot of bad fake news out there. One thing I heard of recently, you know, is, and this is spreading to the Christian friends of Israel in America, that Israel is, persecuting Christians in Israel. My God, the only people believe these lies. You know, the only place in the Middle East where the Christians are fully safe, not to engage in their faith, but well beyond that.
Yeah.
You know,
Zorn
to
Dare
flourish.
_ sent $5. Can we talk more about Trump's epic failure in Iran? Trump's vague, inane ramblings about Iran are just hilariously ridiculous. This artist is at a loss for words even more so than his usual feeble vocabulary entails.
We've been covering it every stream. We covered it at the beginning. What else do you want me to say? And no, I'm about to wrap up. We're finishing this little segment and we're going to wrap up. When there's new updates, I'll do it tomorrow.
To thrive is in Israel. The only place where Christians are fully protected, enjoy not merely equality, but...
See Through It All, are you in the chat? Where is Netanyahu saying they whipped Jesus with his whip?
A place of honor and dignity and support and embrace is in Israel. There is no greater partnership than the state of Israel and the believing Christians around the world.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've been going since about 1986. It made the Bible in so many ways come alive. I encourage Christians.
Hey, Jake. Hey, E-Crusaders. You all fell for Trump. You voted for Trump 3 times, 2 times. You were wrong about that. Now you're eating crow. You got pie on your face. Well, I was right about Trump, and I'm right about Jesus. Time you start paying attention to people who have been vindicated. Know what they're talking about. We're covering it ahead of the curve years ago. All right? You're going to have to figure out the hard way, or you're just going to listen to the people that have been vindicated?
Christians all over the world, you must make your journey to Israel.
Listen to Paul.
I say it will be the best.
We will welcome you.
Like
in Jerusalem and Nazareth and the Sea of Galilee and all the places that you hear about, they're not somewhere remote. They're real places. They're actually very close to each other. So you can actually see where the Bible happened. You can actually see it where it happened. And there are remnants too. I mean, there are churches. You know, there's a church right in the Sea of Galilee where Jesus preached.
Oh yeah.
In Capernaum. It's there. It's standing there.
$5 Adam Green apology form will be the longest list of all time.
Yeah, they're just going to have to figure out the hard way, I guess, right? I think I might know. I'm pretty sure Netanyahu brought up the whip in his interview with Dinesh D'Souza. I'm looking for that right now.
You can stand exactly where Jesus stood. You can walk in the footsteps of Jesus.
See, I'll just start
and the
going.
Hebrew kings.
The Pilgrim's Path.
And everywhere. And the prophets, all the prophets that you know, Jeremiah, Isaiah, you know.
It's so life transforming. It's almost, I say as a Christian, it should be mandated to go to Israel before you get to heaven.
Jesus was teaching in the Galilee.
Absolutely.
And as I said, if you come to Israel, you'll see 2 things that will amaze you. One is you'll see the very places where Jesus taught and preached. The actual places, the buildings he was in. The second thing that will happen is you'll see the Jesus boat, I call it.
The Jesus boat. Come see the Jesus boat, bro. There's nothing they fear more. I think I found it. Watch.
Palestinian teacher. It was a. First of all, look at Christ himself. I mean, he was a Jewish teacher from the Galilee. He wasn't a Palestinian teacher. He was a Jewish teacher with a Jewish name, Yeshua. His father was Yosef, Joseph. These are all Hebrew names. It was the birth of Christianity came from Jewish teachers who moved to Christianity, but they were Jews and they came from Jewish traditions that were here for over 1,000 years. And where did Jesus turn the tables on the money changers? Where? In Nepal? Perhaps in Singapore? Of course not. It was in the Jewish temple, in the same place where Solomon, 1,000.
Oh, dude.
Not even said $10 or runs when that 10 says Christ is king, mark my words.
He's not going to say Christ is king. There it is. Dude, Jake, your badass masculine Jesus flipping the money changers. Netanyahu seems terrified. Dude, nothing Netanyahu fears more than the temple of Shlomo, than top rabbi Jesus getting mad at the Jews in the temple. How dare he desecrate this sacred temple, the sacred Jewish temple.
Years earlier had built the first Jewish temple, and then the exiles who returned from Babylon.
Okay, there it is. Come see the Jesus boat. Come walk where Jesus walked, where Jesus did miracles. In another one, Netanyahu talks about Jesus doing miracles. They want you to believe in this myth. This is the myth to brainwash you.
Did you saw it?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the Jesus boat? You know, I'm talking to a Christian audience, and I'm trying to get you to come to Israel, or get you to get into this podcast that I'm going to do for the Bible, now that we've decided that. One day we had a drought in the Sea of Galilee, and the water level went down.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. They found a Jesus boat. Come see the Jesus boat. Nothing they fear more. Oh, and this is for Joel and Jake and all the E-Crusaders. What do they fear more? Paganism or Jew worship, Christianity? Moshiach believers, Christianity? They prefer Christianity because it worships the Jewish God and affirms their prophecies.
They believe in the God. Christianity is not the worst form of idol worshipping. The worst idol worshipping is when a person bow down to the stars, to the sun, to the moon, to a tree, to an animal, to the water, to anything, any object. Or that's a
It's just like the Christians go, oh, you pagans worship trees, you worship that stick, you worship that rock over there, you worship the stars. Number one, no, I don't worship any of those things. But two, they're actually real. And you sound like fucking Rabbi Mizrachi. He prefers you to believe in Moshiach and Yahweh over your pagan religions. And you idiots are too blind. They'll steal all the rabbi clips and repost them when it's something that fits their narrative, and then coincidentally turn a blind eye to all the rabbi clips that expose their narrative, because they're accomplices and frauds and part of the problem.
Pure idol worshiping. The Christians, they believe in the God, in the creator of the world. They don't say there's no God. They definitely understand there is a God, the God of the Torah, the God of Israel. He built the world, he made the world, he runs the world. The idol worshiping of the Christians.
Anonymous sent $5. No, not a joke. The Mormons are our friends. They consider America Zion, and because of this, they are not like the
I don't like that.
And worship a secular foreign state.
Why would they be our friends? Because they call America Zion. That's so Jewish.
On Rumble.
And it's Freemasons. It's
towards the goal.
Hail the stars is true. Yeah. Dude, the Mormon shit is not it. Are you kidding me? Mormons are like the kookiest, stupidest versions of Christians. Most preposterous. Most bullshit. Sacred plates, fake languages, Hebrews in America, founded by Freemasons. Yo, Mark Collette is back. Dude, I did you send me an email? I've been waiting for an email. Answer your emails, mate. Dude, can you just put your email in the chat right now, Mark? I'll email you because I didn't see it, and I have several emails, so I got to do another show with Mark. It's been too long. Put your email in the chat right now. I'll email you. My audience won't harass you. They won't send you spam. They might sign up for PA, though. If there's any British people in the chat. Fall of Western Man something.
The world, the idol worshipping of the Christians is not as bad as the idol worshipping of Nepal or India and other places, because they still believe in our God, but they
tell me I'm Jesus Christ.
The orb spoke to you? Okay, I see it, Mark. Dude, I swear I've been wondering, like, did he ever email me? I never saw an email. I don't, dude, I get a lot of emails and I have a lot of them and I'm bad at keeping up with emails. I'm not like you. I know you're on top of that shit. You hear this, Mark, though? Christianity is not as bad as paganism because they still worship the Jewish God. You hear that, Mark?
The idol worshipping of the Christians is not as bad as the idol worshipping of Nepal or India and other places, because they still believe in our God, but they believe in somebody else. The Christians and the Muslim came and they say, we are not challenging Judaism. We are the witnesses.
Cool sent $5. Man, these rabbis seeth when people, especially those of European descent, practice their indigenous spirituality. I've been having these discussions with my Buddhist friend and we are off to a good start. They aren't chained like Christians are.
They're not under the Abrahamic spell. Yeah, I'm working on a new mix, by the way, of a bunch of Jews talking about how they prefer Christianity to paganism.
To prove that God gave the Torah to the Jews. They call it the Old Testament. Same thing that
$5 ex-Mormon here. Born into it, so I didn't have a choice. Mormons are more retarded than most other Christians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're the least likely.
Muslim, they believe in the Torah. Half of the Quran is from the Torah.
I just sent you an email, Mark.
Ibrahim, Sarah, all the stories from the Torah appears in the Quran. They never tried to say God never gave the Torah to the Jews. The opposite. In the Quran, in many, many places, it describes Mount Sinai, how the Jews got the Torah from God, how he took us out of Egypt, how Pharaoh was a wicked king. There's a lot of things that is copied from the Torah. So they adopted the Torah as a divine book. It's everyone serving. How can I not be happy when I see millions of goyim bow down to one Jew tonight? What?
Dude, Jews seem so scared of Christians that Jesus is going to return and cast them into the lake of fire.
What's better? What's better? A secular United States or a Christian United States? So now we have between idol worshippers that follow Christianity or total atheist. What's better? Rabbi Victor Miller, by him everything was clear. So absolutely, we should hope that there will be a very strong Christian state. Why? An atheist, everything by them is a...
Maxed Out Bear sent $10 on Rumble. The Jake Shields coping clip was hard to watch. Yikes.
Dude, everybody, all the JQ people love to share Mizrachi clips if it's saying something anti-Christian or saying something Jewish supremacist. But for some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it. They never share these clips. How bad faith is that? How dishonest is that? Omitting all the rabbi clips we've found of them saying stuff like they prefer a Christian America to an atheist America. Meanwhile, Nick Fuentes will get up and lie and say the rabbis want us to be atheist and not be Christians. Wrong.
An atheist, everything by them is against God. They don't do one thing he likes. Everything they believe in is against Hashem. Christians, atheists.
And they call us Amalek. You're an atheist. You oppose the Torah. You don't worship Yahweh. You don't believe in their covenants. You're Amalek. You're a Christian. You're almost a perfect Noahide. You're just got a little problem with the Trinity. That's it. You're neo-Jews. You're Judaism light. You're Noahide laws.
Percent of what they...
Yeah, cherry picking and omitting the evidence is their favorite Christian hobby. True.
believe it's not against Hashem. So yes, they make a critical mistake when they believe in a fake Messiah. They worship him, they say he's God, son of God, all kinds of different beliefs, which is a big problem, but that's their problem, not ours.
See? The funniest one is I have Roseanne. Roseanne goes, oh, well, Christians and Jews pretty much believe the same thing. And Leonardo's like, no, it's not. You disagree on Jesus. And she goes, yeah, well, I don't care because Jesus is Jewish anyway. And then she laughs. Mogged. Let's see. Have we still not hit the goal? Or is it just not updating? Trump says we've won the war against Iran. Oh, I guess we've won. Didn't I just say that? He's going to declare mission accomplished?
And I'm like falling asleep. Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me tell you, we've won. You know.
No, dude, I saw it. Sneeko said that Tel Aviv is in ashes. Tel Aviv has been flattened by the power of Inshallah in Iran. Come on, Scott Ritter said Israel's going to fall and America's going to lose and Iran's going to win. The supreme leader sacrificed himself to rally the Muslim world to destroy Israel. The little Satan and the great Satan. It's all happening.
Joss Beto 5 sent $10 on Rumble. Any podcaster that pushes Jesus is automatically controlled opposition.
Anybody that promotes Jesus, well, because Jesus is theological controlled opposition, yes.
$5. It's a political statement and not an opinion on their theology. Mormons' spiritual beliefs about the U.S. make them prioritize the U.S. unlike their evangelical counterparts who worship a foreign state. They
still think Jews are chosen.
U.S. sovereignty.
Dude, I'm not budging on the Mormon question, bro. Mormons is a no-go. Sorry.
You never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. But we won. But they gave me a list of names at general. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. And I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them. Then I see Epic Fury. I said, I like that name. I like that name.
Did you see Jimmy Dore on Alex Jones and Jang on Jimmy Dore yesterday?
Is that a great name?
Sent $5.
I already saw, I think that's a repeat. I saw that they were on there. I haven't watched them and haven't seen any clips, but I would like to. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is sharing 2007 Kim Clement prophecies on his Truth Social.
Place shall be the most unusual thing, a transfiguration.
We're so cooked.
Marketplace, if you wish.
Good one. Check the Poly Market bets for Passover. I'll have to get Big Tech and Waffen to look into that.
This that shall take place shall be the most unusual thing, a transfiguration, a going into the marketplace, if you wish, into the news media, where Time Magazine will have no choice but to say what I want them to say. Newsweek, what I want to say. The View, what I want to say. Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord.
Dude, they are so conditioning the QAnon, Christian cultist, MAGA base through these prophecies, through religion. This is why they're shoveling it down everybody's throats. This is why we're inundated with Jesus shilling, because it's Jewish, because that's how they control you. They control you through the prophecies.
This prophecy is how they enslave us.
And this is how I was so confident that Trump was going to be back again, is this type of propaganda.
Trump shall become a trumpet. I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet and build.
Trump is our savior.
To open up the gate of a financial realm for the church, says the Lord. I will not forget 9/11. I will not forget what took place that day. And I will not forget the gatekeeper that watched over New York who will once again stand and watch over this nation, says the Spirit of God. It shall come to pass that the man that I place in the highest office shall go in whispering my name. But God said when he enters into the office, he will be shouting out by the power of the Spirit, for I shall fill him with my Spirit when he goes into office, and there will be a praying man in the highest seat in your land.
Will be a praying president, not a religious one, but I will fool the people, says the Lord.
I will fool the people. Yeah, we're all being fooled. Isn't it crazy how Trump leans into the prophecy and his messianic aura and the QAnon stuff? They're posting from the official White House accounts like Patriots in charge, trust the plan, the hunted becomes the hunter, all the Q slogans they're pushing.
I will fool the people. Yes, I will. God says the one that is chosen shall go in, and the
chosen one
has hot blood. For the Spirit of God says, yes, he may have hot blood, but he will bring the walls of protection on this country in a greater way, and the economy of this country shall change rapidly, says the Lord of hosts. Listen to the word of the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord of hosts.
Alex Jones, Donald Trump has all the preachers around him. He believes in Jesus now. He's totally for real. You could trust him. He believes in Jesus. Anybody that believes in Jesus, you can automatically trust him. Look at this AI nightmare. Aliens. Dude, the red heifer with Trump. Jesus on my neck. Dude, this is exactly how I envisioned Space Jesus. Based. Very cool. Here's a Kim Clement, huge Zionist, by the way. I played a clip of him before. He was like, and the wealth will return to Zion.
Where a massive shaking is going to...
His daughter still does, he died. His daughter still does the shtick. She does videos with Roger Stone. She's at the Reawaken America tour where they have Kim Clement at the very top of the graphic. Trey Smith, the Zionist Third Temple fanatic on YouTube that does all the documentaries, he's involved with the daughter as well. This is what he says about Iran.
He will not be stopped. He will not be silenced by these that have tried to silence them in the Middle East. So I saw these massive events being planned by God and His Holy Spirit. This preservation and the time for it is extended into the Middle East, and especially for God's people in Iran. Hear me, this is a prophetic thing. Where a massive shaking is going to take place in Iran. Now, it may sound obvious. No. This is something God ordained. This is not something Obama ordained. This is not something America ordained. This is something God has ordained. A massive shaking in Iran, which will reveal God's absolute displeasure with Iran and the pact that is presently taking place. And the result will be hundreds of thousands of Christians will be freed in Iran. He will not be stopped.
Trump is the prophesied chosen one. I've seen enough. I'm convinced. Alex Jones, he's the new Cyrus. He's the new King David. He's the new Jesus. We're going to have a biblical book of Trump. Yeah, Jack Stone. All of these prophecies converging. They are doing the Judeo end time script, following the blueprint. It's going into hyperdrive. Like Mossad said on 60 Minutes, they're the producers. This is a theater. They're casting the actors. They're playing their roles.
The Lord, it could only have been given by me. Snickering about the quaint notion of someone turning to Jesus Christ. Really don't care what they think. only care what he thinks. Yes, I'm a sinner. Yes, I was a libertine. None of us are perfect. But in recent
Yes, I put up ads in swinger magazines for my wife to have sex with black men. Yes, that is true.
years, I learned about the Kim Clement prophecy regarding the stone. Let me show you this video.
The giant of death, the giants that have come, the brothers of Goliath, stand in glee watching America. We will cripple you. You will lose your credit. But God said, watch. I said 20,000. Look not to Wall Street, however, observe. And they shall say, what is your plan for this giant? And he will take a simple stone. Remember the name. And he will hold it up and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant, says the Lord. It could only have been given by me.
That is the famous stone prophecy by Kim Clement. And as many Christians have pointed out to me, Kim says that the nation or the giant will be taken down by a stone. Remember that name, not remember that thing. Now, to be clear, I'm not claiming to be a prophet or a savior or anything but a humble servant of the Lord. But that video gives me strength and resolve every single day. And it's because of that video that I befriended Danae Clement Petruska, the daughter of Kim Clement. She is in her own right an apostle of Christ. She is a woman of immense wisdom. She has been a spiritual advisor and a cheerleader and an encourager of me in my faith walk. And she, I'm quite grateful to say, joins us now on the Stone Zone.
There's his daughter.
Roger, thank you for having me today. And
dude, Kim Clement was a Gentile, but his daughter, he must have married a Jew or something because she looks very Jewish.
You should know.
And of course, she has the Star of David prayer shawl behind her. This is who Trump just shared. I've been screaming about these Kim Clement prophecy delusions for years.
Because the date today is February 22nd.
And now Trump is sharing them.
That was on.
All right. Seen enough of you. What's going on here? What else do I have with Kim Clement? The top Zionist prophet. Dude, shit's my... Look, here he is at the very top. What is going on here? Great Awakening versus the Great Reset. That's the title of Alex Jones's book and Dugan's book. We got Alex Jones. We got Mel K. We got Roger Stone. We got Zev Zelenko, the Chabadnik. We got Roseanne, Rabbi Roseanne. And we got Kim Clement. Oh, we got Mike Flynn. We got this crazy African Christian lady. Sorcerer, prophetess. We've got my pillow guy, ultra Zionist. And at the very top, Kim Clement. Dude, such a Christian psyop going on. Oh, but they're not real Christians. The Christians with all the power and the influence, they're not real. Yeah, why can't we have prophecies about all the Goyim getting alien goth girls? That's a total. All right, we got to wrap it up. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll cover the Anti-Semitism conference and whatever new developments. Maybe get into this Jesus mythicism thing. Appreciate the support tonight.
Yes!
Today.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Alrighty then.
Be back tomorrow, same time. Appreciate everybody for the support. Like, share, subscribe, clip the show, share the links, educate yourselves, spread the word. What else? That's all. All right, you guys have a nice night. Go to the gym and eat some beef jerky. Hail the all gods and down with Yahweh. Take care.